Hey everyone, welcome to the Honda Museum here at Honda USA's HQ in Torrance in California. As you can see behind me, we're at the original Honda store. Well, we're not really. It's just a nice little mock-up that they did for us. We actually went for a ride to the original Honda store in Los Angeles today. Super cool, really interesting place. However, we're actually here for the relaunch of this little thing. This is the C125 Super Cub. Now, for those of you that aren't really familiar with the Super Cub was around and came out to the USA in 1962. Now, from 62 to 83, that's when American Honda bought these things into the country. But since 1959, so from when the time it was sold in Japan to 2017, 2018, over 100 million of these things have been sold. This is by far the world's biggest selling automobile. It's bigger than the Ford Model T, it's bigger than Toyota Corolla, bigger than all these things that you just kind of look at. You don't seem to think that a motorcycle is actually the world's biggest selling vehicle, but you know, the granddaddy to this one, which was, it started out as a 50cc, it went to 75cc, it went to 90, 100, now this thing is a 125, over 100 million units sold worldwide. So creating the new Honda C125 Super Cub, Honda basically took the engine from the Grom, 125cc Grom, the same engine that sits in the monkey bike as well. Top end is the same, but they've got a different crank and it's a different gearbox as well. Now this thing is basically what Honda calls a semi-automatic. It's a 4-speed gearbox, so you can rock up to the lights. Obviously, no clutch, but your clutch is effectively when you put a little bit of pressure on the gear lever. So you can kind of put a little pressure in and it goes into neutral, but you roll up to the lights in first gear and just and away you go, just like on a normal scooter. It's a really fun little bike. Like, it's the most unintimidating thing you could possibly ever ride on a street. I think top speed that I saw on it was about 58 mile an hour. I know a couple of guys that were on the ride with us, they got a little bit higher. But look, this thing's all about the laughs. Like, it's about putting a smile on your face and getting out there and having a go. I mean, look, anyone can ride this thing. So look, super enjoyable thing to ride. You got a little button under here, bing, up she comes. You actually have 2 helmet locks, but it's got 1 seat. And the reason for that is in Europe, they actually have a dual seat model. And so you can obviously have 2 helmet locks for that, but there you go. 2 helmet locks for there, and you press this little thing and down there, and there's a little toolbox, things like that. So look, probably never need any of that stuff anyway. It only has a screwdriver and a few other bits and pieces in there. As for creature comforts, you get a gear position indicator. You also get ABS on the front as well. Now, an interesting little piece about the seat here, you might be wondering why it's got a red seat. The original version back in the late 50s, Mr. Sakaru Honda, like the man who started the Honda Motor Company, he walked in to one of his sort of labs where they were developing this bike, and he had his white blazer on and all that kind of stuff, and underneath he had a red shirt. Now, he went up to this seat, which was, I think, beige or something at the time, and one of his engineers went, hang on, that looks kind of cool, and they got him to stand in front of this seat and they kind of color matched the thing and went, let's go and build a red seat. And that's been one of the Cub's trademarks. So it's good to see they're sort of stuck with a little bit of tradition, and off we go. But look, $35.99 I think there is the manufacturer's sort of specified retail price or suggested retail price. Now that might be what you can pick it up for at your dealership. It depends on what your haggling skills are and what your dealer is offering the price at, but $35.99. This thing is going to be another one of those people movers that might last for generations. I mean, the old bike, effectively, I mean, yes, it did get changed over the years, but it's the same idea of a bike that was started back in the late 50s. There's been no bike or car that's, imagine getting in a car now and having the design ethos from the late 50s and it still be, semi-current kind of thing. I mean, that just shows what a landmark, like, personal transportation unit the original Super Cub was. I mean, let alone it being a motorcycle or car or anything. The fact that this thing was so successful for so long shows how right Honda got this thing in the first place. But look, the new bike it's a blaster ride. It's fun, and it's a lot like the monkey bike, and it's a lot more practical than the monkey bike. I'll give you that. I mean, I enjoyed the monkey bike a lot. As you can see, There's the review for it just up there. But this thing is a lot more practical. This thing will become much more of a viable option for personal transportation. But yeah, super cool little bike. I love these little things, and yeah, it's as I say back in the day, you can meet the nicest people on Hondas. So hopefully you'll meet a few of them on these things.